Ever wondered how to turn any article or PDF file or regular documents or an audio file into an engaging full-fledged podcasting episode without a microphone or recording studio? Discover how Google NotebookLM can help create engaging podcasts in minutes right from your computer. Let us dive into Google's new AI-powered tool that can transform any article into a podcast with just few clicks. Tools we are going to use in this video are NotebookLM. It uses advanced AI to convert text into natural sounding speech. Whether it's a blog post, news article, or even your own content, it can be turned into audio that people can listen to on the go. It will use one male voice and female voice for the podcast. At this time, it is not possible to use custom voice. Once NotebookLM generates the podcast, what are we going to do with it? We will be using few more tools to distribute our podcast. We have Spotify for podcasters. It's a platform that allows podcast creators to distribute, promote, and monetize their podcast episodes on Spotify. Another tool we will be using is Podbean. It is a podcast hosting platform that provides tools for creating, publishing, and distributing your podcasts. Then your own WordPress website. This is where you will include the podcast episode on the related blog post page. We'll also make use of canva.com. It's a graphic design platform that allows users to create professional looking designs such as social media posts, presentations, and marketing materials using pre-designed templates and elements. We will use this tool to create a cover for our podcast episode. Let us look at the overall process flow. Here we can see how our tools are going to work together. Here we have our NotebookLM, the tool that will generate podcasts, and it will accept various resources. The resources can be a PDF document, any website article, or any document. It can be a text, or it can be a Google document. It can be a Google slide. It will also accept MP3 audio files. Once we provide all the necessary materials to generate the podcast, NotebookLM will create the podcast. Usually it will be WAV file. You can convert that into MP3 file to reduce the file size. Then you will have an option to download the file in the NotebookLM tool. Once this audio file is generated, you can download to your computer and then you are ready to distribute your new podcast episode. Then we will take that audio file. If necessary, we will convert into an MP3 file to reduce the file size. We will use Spotify to create our podcast episode, and we'll also see how can we create the podcast episode in Podbean, and we'll also see how we can include the podcast episode on our own website along with the article. Let us see how it all works now. You can go to notebooklm.google.com or simply type in NotebookLM in the Google search bar and you will be landing on this page. Then you can click on this try NotebookLM, then log in with your Gmail ID. Here you can see I am logged in to the NotebookLM tool. To start working with the tool, click on this new notebook button. This is the place where you will upload your sources into NotebookLM. The sources can be coming from the Google Drive, your Google Documents, or your Google Slides, or it can be a website link, or it can be a YouTube video link. You can simply paste text also. Here it says the supported file types are PDF, TXT, Markdown, audio, for example MP3 file as well. And here we can load up to 50 resources. That's plenty of resources that we can load. Now let us see how to turn an article into a podcast. I will pick an article from my own website. I'm going to select this Amazon's Anthropic Investment Escapes UK Antitrust Investigation. Let me copy the URL for this article. Let us switch back to NotebookLM. Now click on this website. Here let us paste the URL. Then click on this insert button. You can also give a name to your podcast. I just typed in Amazon Anthropic. Now you see this audio overview here. We need to click on this deep dive conversation. Let us click on this generate button now. So you can see it is generating the conversation. Usually it will take few minutes. I will pause the video here and come back when it finishes. And there it is. You have got a podcast version of your article in just a few minutes. No voiceover recording, no editing, just smooth, natural sounding audio ready to go. Let us play now to check it out.
Ever get that feeling? Like right before you even realize you need something, the internet's already trying to sell it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
It's like AI is reading our minds or something. And speaking of AI, Amazon just made a move that's got everyone talking.
Big time investment, right? Didn't they just pour money into this AI company called, was it Anthropic?
Yeah, exactly. Anthropic. We're diving deep into this whole thing today, pulling from a Find Best Solution article that really breaks it down. So for those who haven't heard, we're talking about Amazon, the online shopping giant, throwing their weight behind an AI company.
And this isn't some small startup either. Anthropic's doing some seriously cutting edge stuff. AI research, machine learning, all those things that used to sound like science fiction.
And that's what makes this so interesting, right? It's not like Amazon's just adding a new gadget.
Let me stop the podcast there. It was really good, right? Did you like it? Here you see this sources area. You can also combine multiple sources and it can generate one podcast of those resources combined. You can simply click on this plus sign if you want to add another source. Click on these three dots. Now we can download our podcast. Click on this download button. You can see it has downloaded in WAV format. I have this WAV file. Sometimes the file size can be large. Here you can see it is 18.5 MB. We can convert this into MP3 file and we can reduce the size. We can use Audacity or any other online tool to convert that file. Let me right click on that and then open with Audacity. Then go to file here. Then click on this export audio. Then click this export to computer. You can select the folder here. Then click on this export button. Here is our file that has been converted into MP3 file. As you can see now the file size is just 5 MB. Now you can upload the podcast file into tools like Spotify for podcasters, or you can upload the podcast onto your article page of the website so that visitors can listen to it, or use Podbean for creation and distribution of your podcast episode. Let us upload the podcast episode using each of these three methods. All these options are free. You can go to podcasters.spotify.com or search for Spotify for podcasters in the Google search bar. You can create a free account with them. Once you have an account, log into your account. Here you can see I'm logged into my podcast account. Before we create our podcast, it will be much easier if you have the cover art ready and the title for the podcast, the description for the podcast. If you have them beforehand, it will be much easier for us to create the podcast. In order to create the cover art for your podcast, you can go to canva.com. You can create a free account with canva.com. Once you are in Canva homepage, type in podcast cover in the search bar and then you can select this option. Here you have a lot of podcast cover templates that you can adapt and customize. Many of these templates are free. Some require pro subscription. If you see the crown symbol with pro letters beside that, then you will need a pro subscription to utilize that template. But you have so many other templates that are available for you for free. You can click on any of these free templates and customize it and then download it, and then we can use it as a cover for the podcast. I will quickly show you how to do it. Suppose I want to use this template, change anything to suit your requirement, and once you are done finishing the changes, you can click on this share button, then click on this download button. It is better to download it as JPG because of the file size. Select JPG and then click the download button so that the file size will be less as compared to PNG file. Some of the podcast platforms have some limit on the file size. So if you are using JPG, you don't have to worry about the limit. Once you click the download button, it will be downloaded to your drive. There you can copy and paste to any location you want. Let us create our episode by clicking this new episode button here. First we need to upload the file. Click on this select a file. Navigate to the directory where you downloaded the MP3 file. This is the file that we created. You can give a title to your podcast. For the title, I'm going to use my website article name. Here you can see I pasted my website article. In the episode description, you can ask either ChatGPT or Google Gemini to provide a description for you. Here I'm logged into my Google Gemini and then pasting the prompt here. Here I'm saying generate podcast episode description for a podcast with title, my article name. You can copy this description, then paste it here, and publish date we're going to keep as now. Explicit content, we don't have anything. Promotional content also we don't have anything, click no. You can give any additional details if you want to, but this is optional. Let us click on this next. For the interact comments, we are leaving it on. Then click on this next. Here it is asking you to review. You can click on this publish button. You can share this podcast episode on Facebook or Twitter, or you can just copy the link. Here you can see our episode is published. You can click on these three dots if you want to see the details. Click on this view episode details. Now let us see how to upload the podcast on our own website. I created the podcast after this article, and I also want to include the podcast at the bottom of the page. Before you can make the podcast available on your page, we need to install a plugin. To install the podcast plugin, log into your WordPress website as admin. Here I am logged into my WordPress as admin. Then navigate to this plugins and then select add a new plugin. Scroll down and in this search bar type in podcast. Here you can see different podcast plugins are available. For our tutorial, we will be using this lightweight podcast plugin. If you want to know more information about this plugin, you can click on this more details button. You will get additional information. It will show how to install and some description about the plugin. So you can click on this install now. You can see it is getting installed. Once it is installed, you can click on this activate button. Now the plugin is active. Once the plugin is active, you can see this podcasts option here. Click on this podcasts and then click on this add new program. Here I am giving the article name as the title and then click on this block. Now under the block in the right hand side, you see all the different settings that we can make. Here is the podcast ID shortcode 4048 and expand this podcasts option, then expand this title option. Here we need to load the audio file and then here we can load our image. I'm pasting the same title here and then click on this audio. Then you can click on this upload file and then click on this select files. Then let us select this amazon.mp3. Now we have uploaded the audio file. Click this select button. Now we want to upload an image also. Click this button here and then again click on this upload files, then click this select files and then select this picture file. Now our picture is also uploaded here. Click this select button. You can further customize if you want all these Facebook, Twitter, social media buttons, but we will not go into that detail. You can save it as a draft now. We want to embed this in our article, so we are not going to publish this here. Click this back button and then navigate to podcasts again. Here you can see the podcasts that we have uploaded. Now I want to enable this podcast in one of my article page. For that I can just copy this podcast ID, which is shortcode. It says copied successfully. Then I will include that in one of my posts. Let us say I want to include that podcast on this blog post. Let me click edit button here. Here you can see this is the blog post. Let us do a preview on this one. Preview in new tab. As we scroll down, you see we don't have any podcasts here. Now what I'm going to do is edit this blog post, add a block here. I will select the shortcode block and I will paste my shortcode here and then click this update button. Now let us view the post. Scroll all the way down. Here you can see our podcast is included now. Let us play it.
Ever get that feeling? Like right before you even realize you need something, the internet's already trying to sell it to you.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
I stopped it. It is working fine. Now let us see how to upload it on Podbean. You can go to podbean.com or type in Podbeans in Google search bar. Here is their pricing page. You can see they have a free option, basic plan, and then there are different options here, most popular, best value. We can go with the basic podcast starter plan here. Then click on this sign up free. Once you have an account, then click on this login button here. Once you're logged in, you can click on this new episode button, then click on this choose file to upload, then select the podcast file. I'm already using an image here. If you're doing it for the first time, you may not have any image here, but you can upload the image by clicking this button. Here I want to give my article name as a title. I pasted my article name here and the description, we already have it. Pasted the description here. You can also expand this for more episode settings, season number, episode type, all this you can give if you want to. Then we also have an option to save as draft, or by clicking here you can either publish it immediately or you can also schedule the episode. I will click publish now here. It says episode published. You can also post this episode to your social media accounts. Here you can also get embeddable player. You can embed this code onto your web page. Here you can click this distribution option and here you can further distribute your podcast to podcast apps. You can create a podcast website here. We're not doing that now. And here you have a lot of podcast apps that you can distribute your podcast episode. you can click on this plus button to add it. We also have this social share. Click this blue plus sign to configure your social media accounts. The new episodes will be shared to your social accounts automatically once you configure them. This NotebookLM tool is perfect for content creators, bloggers, marketers, or anyone who wants to repurpose their written content into audio form. Imagine turning your entire blog into a podcast series without lifting a finger. So if you want to turn any article into a podcast episode with few clicks, give Google's new tool NotebookLM a try and let me know in the comment section what article you are planning to turn into a podcast episode next. Until next time, happy podcasting.